What up, B Squad? It is me, JB, and we are here today, you guys, with a brand new review for Abbott Elementary. Sorry that this video is late, but hey, it actually kind of coincides with Mother's Day. So I'm filming this on Saturday, and Mother's Day is tomorrow. So depending on when you're watching this, if you're a mother, happy Mother's Day to you ladies. I hope your kids do something absolutely amazing for you. I hope you have a day of just rest, relaxation, doing nothing, which is what you ladies deserve. So, hey, happy Mother's Day, and special shout out to my mom and my grandmother, who are no longer here with us, but they're here in spirit, and I definitely feel them. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and happy Mother's Day to my mom and to my grandmother. And title of this episode is Mother's Day. So this is season 3, episode number 12, you guys. Now, before we go ahead and get into the review, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed yet, I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on your post notifications. And with that out of the way, you guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and discuss Abbott Elementary, shall we? All right, you guys, so it's almost that time. We got 2 more episodes left of the season, and then that is going to be it. As I've said plenty of times before, this season of Abbott has been great. I've enjoyed it so much. It's been so funny, and I'm not ready for it to end. But all good things come to an end, and we're almost at that point. But hey, this episode was a good episode. So we see in the beginning of the episode where Melissa walked by Jacob's classroom. And so Jacob told Melissa to tell Mr. Johnson that he needs a spare key because Jacob has misplaced his keys. And Melissa was like, don't you lose the house keys, because one of her family members has just gotten out of prison. So she went to the teacher's lounge, and she was talking to Ava, telling Ava that Mr. John, if she sees Mr. Johnson, to let her know about what Jacob needs. But there's this guy who has this blender, and the blender is going off, right? So then anytime you see anybody talking to about Mr. Johnson and the fact that Jacob needs him, you hear a loud noise in the background that distorts whatever is being said. So then when Mr. Johnson finally shows up to Jacob's room, Mr. Johnson is dressed in mariachi wear, as if he's in a mariachi band. I was like, wow, okay, very funny, right? Now, again, this is the Mother's Day episode. Excuse me, y'all. So we see Barbara. My bad, you guys. Sorry. We see Barbara. So Barbara is in the hallway. So she's in charge of the decorations on the walls, right? That the kids are doing for their mothers. And we also find out that Barbara has lost her mother, right? Excuse me, y'all. There's something literally stuck in my throat, and I can't get it. My God, it's gonna bother me. But Melissa is going over to Barbara's crib for Mother's Day dinner. So Melissa said, do you want me to bring the lasagna? And she was like, I told you I got everything, but her husband Gerald won't stop talking about Melissa's lasagna, so go ahead and bring it, right? So we see Jacob and Janine. So I think they were in the teacher's lounge, and they were talking about what their plans were for Mother's Day, right? So Jacob is going to a drag brunch, and Janine is going to be going with him as well. And because Janine, so they talked about Janine being with her mom, right? And Janine is not going to be with her mother because her mother doesn't celebrate Mother's Day. It's actually her mom's least favorite holiday. I was like, damn, Mother's Day is your mama's least favorite holiday, and she has 2 kids. And then we also find out that Janine's sister, she and her sister don't have the same father, because she was like, her sister's going to be with her dad and her stepmother. And I think it was Melissa was like, y'all don't have the same dad? She was like, and Ava was like, of course they don't. Look at the height difference. Her dad is probably Kevin Hart. And so that's the running thing of this episode, right? But Janine doesn't, like I said, Janine doesn't know who her father is. And So that's why she'll be with Jacob. Let's pause here, you guys, and let's move forward. All right, so we see Jacob. So Jacob is talking to Ava about doing this end of the year field trip, right? She told Jacob that, yeah, Jacob, that ain't gonna happen because we don't have the money. But if he can come up with the money, then sure, they can do it. Now we see Gregory's wall. Gregory's wall, I was like, wow. Okay, but it's Gregory we're talking about, because that wall was like, it was kind of barren, and then it's kind of dry, and then it's just, but it goes along with Gregory's personality. Very little there, right? Nothing against him, but he ain't got no personality. So in the mix of talking to Gregory is Barbara and is Melissa. And so they found out that his mother is deceased, right? And so they were like, well, what are your plans for Mother's Day? He was like, he was going to go to Top Golf. Now, mind you, he said Top Golf, right? Barbara, for some odd reason, heard Topless Golf. I was like, wow, way off the mark. But okay, way off the mark with Barbara. But we know how Barbara is, right? So Barbara invited him to come over to her home for I'm getting ahead of myself. But she actually was telling Melissa that she wants to invite him over to the home for dinner. I was like, okay. So we moved back over to Jacob, who is obsessing over this field trip. He went to go talk to Janine, who is obsessing about potentially being Kevin Hart's daughter. As much as I don't see it for Kevin Hart, I will say that was kind of funny this episode, her running with that theme of being Kevin Hart's daughter, because of the fact that she's short and he's short, and also the fact that his mom, Kevin Hart and her mom went to high school together, right? And they knew each other. So Jake was like, well, why don't you call your mom and find out? So Janine called up Vanetta. Vanetta answered the phone, and she was like, hey girl, I'm just getting my hair done. And she's like, hi mom, she's like, Janine? She's like, I gotta change this I thought you were my PO. I'm actually in Canada. She's like, I gotta change this from your number from to daughter Janine. I was like, so changing her name to daughter Janine means you're not gonna answer the phone for her, right? Because Janine was surprised that her mama answered the phone. My God, Vanetta. But I mean, we saw how Vanetta, we met Vanetta last season. So she's talking to Vanetta, right? And you guys know Vanetta is portrayed by Taraji P. Henson. So she's talking to her mom, asking her about Kevin Hart. She was like, he was he was a star player on the basketball team. Slam dunked and all. The weirdest shit she ever saw, right? So Janine asked her, so did you guys ever date? She's like, date? Girl, no, we ain't ever date. But we did fuck. I was like, I hollered when she said, but they did fuck. It was hilarious to me. Oh my God, I cracked up laughing. So we move over to Gregory. So Gregory is out there with his plants and he's talking to him. So Barbara came up to him and she invited him over to dinner. And Barbara wouldn't take no for an answer. So he said, I can swing by, pop by, jump by, anything, just not to stay there for too long, right? Now we move back over to Janine. So Janine is reaching out to Kevin Hart on every social media platform. She even sent him a Venmo for $1. Mind you, she sent him a Venmo for $1. Not asked him for $1. She sent him one. I was like, that's very weird, Janine. Very weird. So Jacob has put up a GoFundMe for this field trip. But the GoFundMe is being taken down because anything with Abbott Elementary is being deleted. Abbott with 2 T's, Abbott with 1 T, Addington 2, anything of the sort is being taken down. You can bet your bottom dollar is because of Ava. So then Melissa told him to go to the PTA meeting. I was like, the PTA meeting? Because at first I was thinking, oh, okay, yeah, go to the PTA. But then I had to remember Tariq is behind the PTA, so that's not gonna be a good thing for him to do. And so for Janine's problem, Melissa knows somebody who knows Kevin Hart's barber, so she can get a sample of Kevin Hart's hair for Janine to do a DNA test on, right? So let's pause here and move forward, you guys. So we see Jacob, and Jacob went down to that PTA meeting where Tariq was and asking for some money. Tariq was like, he can't help him with the money, but he can help him with, like, if he needs chaperones, he got him. I was like, I don't know why you figured anything involving Tariq would be a help, because Tariq was like, we in the red, or what is it? We in the red, we in the black, one of them. So basically, Tariq ain't making no profit. I was like, it's the PTA, Tariq. You don't make. Never mind. It's Tariq. It's Tariq. It's Tariq. It's Tariq. Now we see as Gregory made it over to Barbara's crib. Whew, I would have. Barbara, I love Barbara Howard, but that family was weird for me, because I don't know if that was her sister-in-law and Gerald. When Gregory came in and they found out that his mama passed away, they said, "Well, your family huggers." He says, "No." They said, "Well, we are." And so they all hugged him. I was like, "Oh, I was with Gregory. Please don't. Please don't. We don't have to do this. We do not have to do this." Then Taylor's boyfriend comes in, openly embraces. I was like, "Oh my God, can we stop with all the hugging? Can you at least ask to hug me? If I say no, please don't." Oh, that is my biggest pet. That is my biggest. That is one of my biggest pet peeves. I have quite a few, but that is the biggest one. Is touching me and I didn't ask for it. Oh my God, I will tense up. I will tense up, and I will cringe. If you touch me, I ain't asked you to touch me. I don't like it. It's just not something that. It's not something that I go for. It's not something that I like. Please don't. I'm always asking nicely. Can you not, like? Oh, I have an aunt. God rest my aunt soul, right? She was a kisser. I was like, and as a kid, I used to be like, please don't kiss. Like, I don't like to be. I don't like that. Like, I've never. Oh God. When I tell you guys, I've never, and I mean I've never, ever liked for people to just come up to me, grab me and hug me and grab me and kiss. Oh, don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. Please don't. And I just don't like people putting their hands on me. and those things happen in this episode. So I want to pause here and want to move forward, you guys. Now we move over to the drag brunch, and Janine is close to finding out if Kevin Hart is her father. So Ava was at the drag brunch and she sat at the table with them, right? So we moved back over to Barbara's dinner. Barbara's trying to make sure everything is taken care of, right? So they sat down to eat and they wanted to pray. She wanted to pray for Gregory in particular. So her husband and I think her sister-in-law got up. They are praying family, and they laid hands on Gregory. I was like, oh my God, no, we don't do that. Because he was like, oh God. And so they started praying. They asked, what's your mama's name? He said, it's not that important. She's like, yes, it is. He was like, it's really not. She said, yeah. He said, faith. So Barbara incorporated faith in the prayer. I was like, oh. I was with Gregory. We can go. It was nice coming. I'm gonna have to leave. And honestly, I think that this dinner was more so for Barbara than it was for Gregory. I think what it was for Barbara is she found someone that knows that journey of losing a mother, and I think that's what it was for Barbara. Because for me, like, my mom has been deceased. My mom passed away now, 7 years ago. So I don't for anybody who like recently has lost a parent, I'm not in the same space as someone who is fresh in grief. I'm not fresh in it anymore. I am 7 years into losing my mom, so it's a lot easier for me than it is for someone who, because it's a TV show, it's a daytime show that I watch called Daily Blast Live on ABC. Well, it comes on ABC here on my local network, but there's a young lady on there. Her name is Tori, and it was a Mother's Day episode yesterday, and someone had written a book about losing your mom, and her mom just passed 3 months ago, and she was in deep tears. And I was thinking about it, it's like, because even watching this episode, you see people who are in different stages in their grief process. You see someone who's 3 months in, because I remember 3 months in, I was still crying. I cried at the drop of a dime. Like, I would cry. That first year that my mom passed away, it was the tears would just flow. I could just think about her, and the tears would just like flow from my eyes. But today, it's a lot different for me. So I think that's what I don't remember if they said how long Barbara's mom passed. But I feel like it's recent. And so Barbara's grief is different than Gregory's grief, because Gregory said his mom passed away 20 years ago. And so for him, he doesn't, he also said, and it's the same thing that I feel, I don't need Mother's Day, especially at this point with my mom not being here. I don't need Mother's Day or any other day to remind me to love my mom, right? Because that's something that's a given. I'm always going to love her, right? And if you guys notice that I'm looking down, I'm looking down because, which I still need to hang this picture up. But I have so when we had her funeral, after we ended the funeral, and actually, was it after the funeral or was it, when did they get this damn thing to me? When did they get this picture to me? Oh, they gave it to me at the funeral. So after the funeral was over with, they came and presented me with which I think I've shown it on camera before, but they presented me with a picture of my mom, which is the picture that we had on her obituary, and it says I'll fly away, and has my mom's name, her date of birth, and the day that she died, right? So that's what I'm looking at. But like Gregor said, you don't need a day, especially, even though our mom's not here, we don't need days to tell us to love her, because that's an unconditional love that will never cease to exist, right? Even in our last days, they're still going to be part of us, right? So it is what it is. So I think that was, like I said, I think that was more so for Barbara than it was for Gregory. And then back over to the drag brunch. Janine found out that Kevin Hart was not her father. So she was kind of down. And it was so interesting to see Ava. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, Erica was with them. Ava and Erica both lifted up Janine. And I was like, wow, Ava? And so we also found out that one of the drags, she invited Jacob to a performance that they do in the park, which gave Jacob an idea to have the field trip in the park. So they got the people in the drag brunch to help them by making reservations with the PTA, right? So then at the end of the episode, we see Barbara. Barbara went to the Topgolf to apologize to Gregory, right? And like I said, I've already said this, that he doesn't need a day to remember to love his mom, right? And Barbara says she's gonna hit a home run. I was like, you go, Barbara, but that's not this sport. This sport is for. And then at the end of the episode, Janine got a FaceTime from Kevin Hart, who basically told her, girl, why are you harassing me? And she's like, I thought you were my dad. He was like, why would you think that? And Ava was behind him. Ava was behind Janine. And so Janine was like, well, you and my mom went to school together. And he's like, who's your mom? She said, Vanetta. He's like, Vanetta? He's like, I always strapped up with Vanetta. So, not your daddy. Unfollow me. I was like, damn. And so Mr. Johnson came up behind them, and Kevin Hart knows Mr. Johnson. Again, like I said, I ain't the biggest fan of Kevin Hart, but it was cool to see this play out on the show. It was funny as hell to me. But let me know what you guys thought about this episode. in the comment section below. Please subscribe to the channel, you guys. Turn your post notifications and share the video. Until the next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves, you guys, and wash your hands. Be blessed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And sorry about clearing my throat so much in this video, but I feel better now. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.